The sound of gentle, ambient desert wind begins, a soft, almost imperceptible hum. It remains throughout, a constant, calming presence. Imagine, if you will, a city carved from the very rock of the earth, a place where sandstone cliffs blush with the rosy hues of dawn and sunset. A city, not built up from the ground, but excavated downwards, inwards, into a labyrinth of canyons and hidden valleys. This is Petra, the rose-red metropolis, a testament to ingenuity, resilience, and a forgotten kingdom that once flourished in the arid embrace of the Arabian desert. It's a story of trade routes, of water management, of artistic prowess, and of a people who for centuries held sway over the incense and spice trade of the ancient world. To truly understand how this remarkable place came to be and the civilization that shaped it, we must first journey back, far beyond the tourist trails, to the very origins of the Nabatean people. The story of Petra, and indeed of the Nabateans themselves, is deeply intertwined with the history of the Arabian Peninsula, a vast and challenging landscape that has shaped human civilization for millennia. Our journey begins not with grand monuments, but with nomadic peoples, likely originating from the northern reaches of the Arabian Peninsula, perhaps the Hejaz, or even further north, closer to the Fertile Crescent. These were the ancestors of the Nabateans, groups of Semitic-speaking peoples who, driven by the rhythms of seasonal rainfall and the availability of pasture, moved across the rugged terrain. Their existence was one of constant adaptation, a life dictated by the unforgiving climate and the need to find sustenance for themselves and their livestock. The very name Nabatean itself offers a clue to their early identity. It is believed to derive from the Aramaic word nabatu, meaning to move from place to place, or to wander. This nomadic heritage was fundamental to their development. They were masters of the desert, skilled in tracking, in understanding weather patterns, and in locating scarce water sources. Their early economy would have been based on herding camels, sheep, and goats, moving their flocks to where the sparse vegetation could support them. This itinerant lifestyle, while challenging, also fostered a deep understanding of the land and its resources. However, the Arabian Peninsula was not merely a desolate wasteland. It was also a crucial crossroads, a nexus of ancient trade routes that connected the riches of the East, the spices of India, the silks of China, the precious resins of southern Arabia, with the markets of the Mediterranean world, particularly the Roman Empire and the Hellenistic kingdoms of the Levant. These routes were arteries of commerce, carrying goods that were highly prized in distant lands: frankincense and myrrh, aromatic resins harvested from trees that grew primarily in southern Arabia and parts of northeast Africa, were particularly valuable. They were used in religious rituals, in perfumes, in medicine, and as a symbol of wealth and status. It was the control and exploitation of these trade routes that would ultimately transform the nomadic Nabateans into a powerful and prosperous kingdom. The geographical position of the regions where they began to settle and establish their presence was fortuitous. They found themselves in a strategic location, ideally situated to facilitate and profit from the movement of goods. Their inherent mobility, honed through generations of nomadic existence, allowed them to navigate these routes with expertise, providing safe passage, acting as guides, and offering essential services like water and provisions to traveling caravans. The process of settling and urbanizing was gradual. It wasn't an overnight transformation. As certain areas offered more reliable water sources, or as trade routes became more established, pockets of more permanent settlement began to emerge. These early settlements would have been humble, likely consisting of tents, simple dwellings, and perhaps rudimentary fortifications. Yet, they represented a shift from pure nomadism towards a more sedentary lifestyle, a crucial step in the development of a distinct cultural and political entity. The arid environment of their homeland demanded an extraordinary understanding of water management. This would become one of the defining characteristics and greatest achievements of the Nabateans. Living in a region where rainfall was scarce and unpredictable, they developed sophisticated techniques for collecting, storing, and distributing water. They mastered the art of cistern construction, carving vast reservoirs into the rock to capture precious rainwater during the infrequent storms. They also expertly channeled seasonal wadis, ephemeral riverbeds, using dams and conduits to direct water to their settlements and agricultural plots. This mastery of hydraulics was not merely practical, it was essential for survival and for supporting a growing population and the demands of trade. Without this expertise, the development of a city like Petra would have been utterly impossible. The Nabateans were not only traders and engineers, they were also shrewd businessmen and diplomats. They understood the importance of fostering good relationships with the powers that controlled the lucrative trade routes and the markets for their goods. Initially, they would have operated as intermediaries, caravan guides, and providers of essential services. As their wealth and influence grew, they began to assert greater control over segments of the trade routes, establishing their own caravans and stations. They learned to speak the languages of their trading partners, to understand their customs, and to negotiate favorable terms. The Hellenistic period, following the conquests of Alexander the Great, brought a wave of Greek influence to the eastern Mediterranean. The successor kingdoms, such as the Seleucid Empire, exerted their authority over vast territories, including parts of what is now Jordan. While the Nabateans maintained a degree of independence, they had to navigate the political landscape shaped by these larger powers. They likely paid tribute or offered concessions to the Seleucids at times, but their ability to control the flow of goods and their strategic location ensured their continued relevance. The Hellenistic architectural styles, particularly the monumental facades carved into rock faces, began to appear in the Nabatean realm. This is not to say they copied Greek architecture. Rather, they assimilated and adapted these influences, reinterpreting them through their own cultural lens. The grandiosity of Hellenistic tomb facades, for instance, may have inspired their own monumental tomb structures, but the Nabateans infused these designs with their unique artistic sensibilities and religious beliefs. The true emergence of the Nabatean kingdom as a significant political entity can be dated to roughly the 4th century BCE. While their origins are rooted in nomadic traditions, by this period they had established more permanent centers of habitation and were actively engaged in managing the lucrative spice and incense trade. Their wealth was accumulating, not through conquest, but through commerce. They were the gatekeepers of the routes, ensuring the safe passage of caravans laden with frankincense from Hadramaut and Kataban in southern Arabia, myrrh from the Horn of Africa, and spices from India. These precious commodities, essential for religious ceremonies, perfumes, and medicinal purposes throughout the ancient world, passed through Nabatean hands. The Nabateans established a network of settlements along these trade arteries. While Petra would eventually become their magnificent capital, other important centers existed, such as Hegra, modern Madain Saleh in Saudi Arabia, which served as a vital southern outpost. These settlements were not just trading posts, they were fortified oases, providing water, shelter, and security for the caravans. They also served as centers for the collection and redistribution of goods. The Nabateans developed their own distinct script, derived from the Aramaic alphabet. This script, known as Nabatean Aramaic, would evolve over time and eventually become the ancestor of the modern Arabic script. This linguistic development reflects their growing cultural identity and their need for a standardized form of communication for administrative and commercial purposes. Inscriptions in Nabatean Aramaic can still be found on monuments and rock faces throughout their former territory, providing invaluable insights into their language, their rulers, and their history. The Nabatean society was hierarchical, with a monarchy at its head. The kings were instrumental in overseeing the kingdom's affairs, from managing trade and infrastructure to leading military expeditions when necessary. However, their power was likely tempered by a council of elders or influential families, reflecting the communal traditions that likely persisted from their nomadic past. The economic prosperity generated by the trade routes allowed for the development of a more complex social structure, with merchants, artisans, laborers, and religious officials playing significant roles. The religious beliefs of the Nabateans are somewhat complex and evolved over time, showing influences from indigenous Arabian traditions as well as from neighboring cultures. They worshipped a pantheon of deities, with Dushara being their principal god. Dushara, often depicted as a cubical block of stone, was associated with the mountains, the desert, and perhaps with strength and fertility. Alat, a powerful goddess, was also widely venerated, and she was often associated with fertility and the sky. The Nabateans also incorporated deities from other cultures into their pantheon, reflecting their cosmopolitan interactions. For example, they adopted aspects of Greek and Roman deities, sometimes equating them with their own gods. Their religious practices often involved the erection of altars, the offering of sacrifices, and the veneration of sacred stones. The rock-cut tombs and temples themselves, often elaborately decorated, served as important religious sites, connecting the living with the divine and with their ancestors. The story of how the Nabateans transitioned from nomadic herders to masters of a vast trading empire is a testament to their adaptability and their keen understanding of the economic and political forces at play in the ancient world. They carved their niche in a harsh environment by mastering the flow of goods, by providing security and infrastructure, and by developing a sophisticated understanding of water management. Their settlements, strategically located along the vital arteries of commerce, became prosperous hubs. As their wealth and influence grew, the Nabateans began to invest in their settlements, transforming them into more permanent and impressive centers. This is where the legend of Petra truly begins to take shape. The magnificent rock-cut architecture that we associate with Petra today was not the work of a fleeting moment, but the culmination of centuries of development, refinement, and artistic expression, built upon a foundation of immense wealth derived from trade. The city, carved into the sandstone cliffs of a remote and defensible valley, became the heart of their kingdom. To truly appreciate Petra, we must understand its strategic location. It lies within a basin, surrounded by rugged mountains and accessible primarily through a narrow gorge known as the Sick. This natural defense made it an ideal location for a capital, offering security from potential invaders. Furthermore, Petra was situated at a crucial junction of several major trade routes. Caravans arriving from southern Arabia, carrying the precious frankincense and myrrh, would converge with routes coming from Gaza on the Mediterranean coast, and others originating from further north in Syria. Petra, therefore, controlled access to these vital conduits of commerce. The development of Petra as a major urban center was intricately linked to the Nabateans' unparalleled skill in water management. The valley in which Petra is situated receives very little rainfall, yet the city flourished. The Nabateans engineered a sophisticated system of dams, cisterns, and ceramic pipes to capture, store, and distribute water. They meticulously carved channels into the rock to collect rainwater from the surrounding hillsides, channeling it down into numerous cisterns hidden within the city and in its immediate vicinity. These cisterns, some remarkably large, could store enough water to sustain the city's population and its visitors, even during extended dry periods. The Sick, the dramatic gorge that serves as the main entrance to Petra, is a masterpiece of natural formation, eroded over millennia by water and wind. As one walks through this narrow canyon, the towering sandstone cliffs, often over 80 meters high, press in on either side, creating a sense of awe and anticipation. The Sick is not merely a natural passage. The Nabateans enhanced it, carving channels for water to flow along its sides and creating shallow reliefs and niches. As the Sick gradually widens and the sunlight begins to penetrate more fully, the visitor emerges into the breathtaking spectacle of Al-Khazneh, the Treasury. The Treasury, or Al-Khazneh, is arguably the most iconic monument of Petra, and its creation marked a significant advancement in Nabatean architectural and artistic endeavors. Carved directly into the rose-red sandstone cliff face, its facade is a stunning example of Hellenistic influence blended with local Nabatean traditions. The intricate details, the columns, the pediments, and the decorative friezes all point to a sophisticated understanding of architectural principles and a high level of craftsmanship. Despite its popular name, Al-Khazneh was almost certainly not a treasury in the conventional sense. Archaeological evidence and inscriptions suggest it was, in fact, a tomb, likely the burial place of a prominent Nabatean king, possibly Aretas IV, who reigned in the early 1st century CE. The elaborate facade served to honor the deceased and to project the power and wealth of the royal lineage. The sheer effort and artistry involved in carving such a monumental structure directly from the living rock, without the aid of modern tools, is astonishing. Imagine teams of skilled artisans meticulously chipping away at the sandstone, working from the top down to create this breathtaking facade. Beyond the treasury, Petra unfolds into a vast city, a testament to the Nabateans' ambition and their ability to transform their environment. The Street of Facades, a row of monumental tombs carved into the cliff face, leads further into the city. These tombs, while less ornate than the treasury, still display impressive scale and artistry, showcasing variations in Nabatean architectural styles. The Nabateans were not merely tomb builders. They were also builders of public spaces. The city centre featured a paved colonnaded street lined with shops and public buildings, hinting at the vibrant commercial life that once thrived there. There was a large theatre, also carved into the rock, capable of seating thousands of spectators, indicating the importance of public gatherings and entertainment in Nabatean society. The presence of a theatre, with its Greek-inspired design, further underscores the cultural exchanges that took place. The Nabatean economy was primarily based on controlling and taxing the trade in luxury goods. The caravans, laden with spices, incense, silks, and other valuable commodities, passed through their territory, and the Nabateans levied tolls and provided services, accumulating immense wealth. This wealth was then invested in their capital city, transforming it into a magnificent center of commerce, culture, and religious significance. They also engaged in agriculture, utilizing their advanced water management systems to cultivate crops in the arid landscape, and in mining, extracting minerals from the surrounding hills. The Nabateans maintained their independence for a considerable period, skillfully navigating the complex political landscape of the Hellenistic and early Roman periods. They engaged in diplomacy and warfare when necessary, often forming alliances and rivalries with neighboring powers. The Seleucid Empire, the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, and later the expanding Roman Republic and Empire were all significant players in the region, and the Nabateans had to carefully manage their relationships with them. The period of Roman ascendancy in the region marked a new chapter for the Nabatean kingdom. While the Romans were a formidable power, they often incorporated existing kingdoms into their empire through a process of annexation or by establishing them as client states. The Nabateans, under their capable rulers, managed to maintain their autonomy for a significant time, even as Roman influence grew. The relationship between the Nabateans and the Romans was complex, evolving over several decades. Initially, the Nabateans were strong allies of Rome, providing essential support during Roman military campaigns in the region, such as those against the Jewish Hasmonean kingdom. However, as Roman power solidified, their desire for direct control over the lucrative trade routes and the strategic territories intensified. The ultimate annexation of the Nabatean kingdom by the Roman Empire occurred in 106 CE, during the reign of Emperor Trajan. The process was relatively peaceful, and the Nabatean kingdom was absorbed into the Roman province of Arabia Petraea, with Petra serving as its capital. This marked the end of Nabatean political independence, but not the end of Petra's importance. Under Roman rule, Petra continued to flourish for a time. The Romans invested in the city's infrastructure, further developing the paved street, building new temples, and perhaps even expanding the theatre. Roman architectural styles began to appear alongside Nabatean ones, creating a fascinating blend of cultures. The trade routes, now under Roman control, continued to be vital, and Petra remained a key centre, albeit as a part of a much larger imperial system. However, the fortunes of Petra began to shift with the changing patterns of trade and with the gradual decline of the overland spice routes. The rise of maritime trade, particularly with the development of sea routes from India to the Red Sea and then overland to the Mediterranean, began to bypass Petra. Furthermore, the Roman Empire itself faced increasing challenges and instability, which impacted trade and regional economies. The city of Petra experienced a significant blow with a devastating earthquake in 363 CE. This earthquake caused considerable damage to the city's structures, including its vital water management systems. While the city was partially rebuilt and continued to be inhabited, it never fully recovered its former glory. subsequent earthquakes and changes in regional power dynamics further contributed to its decline. By the Byzantine period, Petra was a much smaller settlement, and its importance as a major trading hub had waned considerably. Churches were built within the city, indicating a Christian presence, but the grand Nabatean monuments, though still standing, were largely repurposed or neglected. The once thriving metropolis gradually faded from prominence, its secrets slowly being reclaimed by the desert winds. For centuries, Petra remained largely unknown to the Western world, a legendary city whispered about in ancient texts, but lost to the passage of time. Its existence became the stuff of myth and speculation, a hidden marvel buried in the sands of Arabia. It wasn't until the early 19th century that Petra was rediscovered by the Western world. In 1812, a Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, disguised as an Arab scholar, heard tales of a lost city in the mountains of Petra. With the help of local guides, he managed to gain access to the hidden valley, reintroducing this extraordinary archaeological site to global consciousness. His accounts, filled with wonder and descriptions of the magnificent rock-cut architecture, ignited widespread interest. The rediscovery of Petra spurred further exploration and archaeological investigation. Over the decades, archaeologists and historians have meticulously worked to uncover the secrets of the Nabatean kingdom and their remarkable city. Through careful excavation, the deciphering of inscriptions, and the analysis of architectural styles, we have pieced together a more complete understanding of this fascinating civilization. The Nabateans, though no longer an independent kingdom, left an indelible mark on history. Their mastery of water management in an arid land, their crucial role in ancient trade, and their unique artistic and architectural achievements continue to inspire awe. Petra, their rose-red capital, stands as a magnificent testament to their ingenuity and their enduring legacy. It is a place where history is not merely read, but felt, etched into the very fabric of the earth. As we reflect on the rise and fall of the Nabatean kingdom, we see a story of human adaptation, of entrepreneurial spirit, and of the profound impact that trade and resources can have on the development of civilization. From their humble nomadic origins, they transformed themselves into the controllers of vital arteries of commerce, building a kingdom and a city that, even in ruin, continues to captivate the imagination. Their ability to harness the harsh desert environment, to create a thriving metropolis out of sandstone cliffs, and to manage the flow of goods across vast distances speaks volumes about their intelligence and their resilience. The Nabateans, in their own way, were pioneers. They understood the value of location, the power of logistics, and the importance of water in a parched land. They built not just monuments, but a complex economic and social system that facilitated the exchange of goods and ideas between distant cultures. Their influence extended far beyond their geographical boundaries, shaping the flow of luxury items that adorned the lives of people in empires across the Mediterranean and beyond. The architectural marvels of Petra, the treasury, the monastery, the royal tombs, are not merely ancient ruins. They are the tangible remnants of a sophisticated society that achieved remarkable feats of engineering and artistry. The sheer scale and precision of these rock-cut structures, achieved without the benefit of modern technology, are a constant reminder of the dedication and skill of the Nabatean artisans. Imagine the hours, the days, the years spent painstakingly carving these facades, each chisel stroke a testament to their craft. The legacy of the Nabateans also lives on in their script. Nabatean Aramaic, the language of their inscriptions, provided the foundation for the Arabic alphabet. This linguistic inheritance connects us directly to their world, a subtle yet profound echo across the centuries. Their contributions to the development of written language are a fundamental aspect of their historical significance. Moreover, the Nabateans' expertise in water management remains a subject of study and admiration. Their intricate systems of dams, cisterns, and channels, designed to collect and conserve every drop of precious water, offer valuable lessons for arid regions even today. Their understanding of hydraulics was not just practical, it was an art form, a way of life, dictated by the environment. The story of Petra is a reminder that history is often found in unexpected places, sculpted by peoples whose names may have faded from common memory, but whose achievements continue to resonate. The Nabateans, a people of the desert, carved their destiny into the very rock of the earth, creating a city that, for a time, stood at the crossroads of the ancient world. Their story, detailed and factual, unfolds not with a bang, but with the gentle, persistent erosion of sandstone, the slow accumulation of wealth from caravan tolls, and the meticulous carving of facades that have stood the test of time. The decline of Petra was not a sudden collapse, but a gradual fading, a consequence of shifting global trade patterns and the inevitable march of empires. Yet even in its decline, the city held its secrets, waiting for rediscovery. And when it was found, it revealed a civilization that, in its own quiet, determined way, profoundly shaped the ancient world. The meticulous details of their engineering, the grandeur of their art, the sophistication of their trade networks, all these elements weave together to form the rich tapestry of the Nabatean story. So as the desert winds whisper through the canyons of Petra, they carry the echoes of a forgotten kingdom, a testament to human ingenuity and the enduring power of history, a story etched in rose-red stone, waiting patiently to be heard. The sheer volume of detail in the construction, the careful planning of water distribution, the intricate decoration of tombs, these are the quiet, captivating elements that speak of a civilization that understood its environment, mastered its trade, and left behind a legacy that continues to inspire wonder and contemplation. It is a history that, in its very thoroughness and factual depth, offers a calming immersion into the past. The story of Petra is not one of fleeting drama, but of sustained effort, of meticulous planning, and of the gradual, enduring rise of a remarkable people.